What's up, homies? This is the V3 Scalpel, the final iteration of the Scalpel EDC series, which has taken up to 5 or 6 years to produce from start. The main difference between the V3 and the V2 is that the V2, here's the grounded one, these are now discontinued. This is the V2 and that's the V3, and I don't know if you can see that the V3 now has added shoulders at the ricasso. There's many reasons for that. One is, of course, that one of the issues that I had with the making these is that because there's no direct location where to start the handle, there's a small variation in each of the V2 scalpels where the handle starts. Which can be like 1/10 of a millimeter to a whole millimeter in variation here, which just basically which adds inconsistency in every single one that's produced. And one of the major the issue with that is if I'm selling these to a store and they've all got different sheaths. So one of the difficulties that I have even throughout the entire process is that each sheath that's made is proprietary to the knife that it's molded to. So the sheaths are not interchangeable between each of the scalpels. Sometimes 1 in like 10, 1 in 15 of the sheaths will fit on another scalpel, like in this case. So the original sheath for this one is here, right? This was like the second or the first V2 made that I kept for myself. And you can see I've polished the bevel on the stones when I'm sharpening it. So when they come new, they've got the grits, the machine grind Scandi, and but it got so dirty. You see, it's got this muck all over it. So I just picked this one up off the table, and it's pretty neat. So yeah, what would happen is that in the stores, in the shops, once you have a customer, they pull out all the scalpels from the wall and they lay them out and they take all the sheaths off. Then they start to mix and match all the. They start to mix all the sheaths. They don't know which one went where, and every now and then, this only happened twice out of like hundreds. They would put it on. It would be so stuck that when they tried to pull it off, huge amount of force, they would just yank it out, try to force it out. And it would tear and rip and pull the first couple nuts off and basically ruin the whole blade at the store, which is not good. That hasn't happened with any of them. It's only happened with a couple of them, and it only happens under those strict conditions. So it was very important to kind of find a way to prevent that from further happening. So here it is. Another thing that's really nice about the V3 is now the blade is taller, right? So I can grind the bevel, the edge, the Scandi grind further up, making the overall profile steeper. So it's sharper. And as you can see, what I like to do, so this is a V3 and this is a V2. I like to keep a lot of extra metal here on the spine because that keeps the blade super stiff. So I don't want to grind it all the way up. And having that extra metal there on the V3s has substantially impacted the ease in which the grinding applies. It is so much easier to grind the V3s and the V2s, and there's large variations in the V2s when it comes to grinding the bevels. You see this one's been overground and just lost a bunch of metal from the tip. So these were very difficult to grind, and I'm freehanding all of these. So there had to be that change. There had to be that shift into the V3. This is what the V3 looks like when it's finished. So that shoulder there. One of the benefits, it's another benefit of this is that now I can polish the spine and polish the ricasso. So you can see this one's nicely polished and rounded, which I couldn't do on the previous one. just because there wasn't, you know, just because it's so flush, the entire profile. So I just chamfered the corners and that's it. And so that now that there's this shoulder there, I can actually just only focus on that area and then keep the rest of it actually just as is. So it's much more consistent, the production with these. It's much lower, much higher quality. It's much, the ease of manufacturing has gone down significantly. It's just an overall significantly better design. Just in every way possible to produce. And the final product is also significantly higher quality. So very, very, very pleased with how this turned out. I'll be focusing basically just exclusively on producing these for the next foreseeable future, because it's the only product that I have that's so well thought out. It's the only knife that I carry. Okay, I carry two knives with me everywhere I go. It's this one, which is a Pikal, because this blade shape, you just can't live without it once you get used to it. It's also ultra thin. I like, if I carry a folding knife, it has to be as thin as possible. You know, this is like as thin as it gets, you know, and it's very simple. I just love Pikals. And then this one. But I carry this 100% of the time. I carry this, you know, 85% of the time. And I only carry this with me when I have this with me. So I've carried 40, 50 different types of knives in the last 10 years. And this is the only one that I just can't go anywhere without. I'm even in a sauna with this, you know. The beauty of a neck knife, right, is that you can just wear your pajamas all day and you can still have a knife on you. You know, you can have sweatpants on and a shirt and it's just under your shirt. It doesn't matter. You can be at the gym and nobody sees it under your shirt. You can work out, it's right there. It's unnoticeable. You know, compared to, you know, some of these other knives. I don't have anything on the table here. Like something like this, which is my rivet lock Pulco medium, which is a fantastic design. You know, yeah, I can slip this on between my, you know, belt and my, you know, the waistband and the thing, but it's a big old heavy knife, and well, it's not heavy, but it's a big old blade. It's a combat utility knife. This goes on a vest. This is like open carry kind of knife. You can definitely very easily conceal carry this. You know, you just slip it under your belt. It's, you know, it's very, very streamlined. But again, it's not quite the same as EDCing this. Oh, and yeah, you can't really wear this on sweatpants. I mean, yeah, sure, you can clip it anywhere you want, but you can't really wear this with pajamas. If you're changing clothes all day, you're changing your jacket, you're changing your pants, you know, if you're, for example, snowboarding and you're walking in and out of some building and you want to take your pants off and your jacket off and you're constantly changing clothes. It's much easier when you just got this there and then you don't have to think about it. And when you need it, you just grab it like this, pull it out, use it, whatever, cut stuff with it. Here's a piece of fucking wood. You know, you can just make a mess. It's got a lot of biting force. I'm taking huge chunks out of this. It's the beauty of a Scandi grind, you know, whatever. Put it back on, throw it in, and get back to doing your stuff. You don't have to worry about your pockets. You don't have to worry about things falling out of your pocket. You don't have to worry about anything. So I've become a huge fan of neck knives. The problem is most neck knives are way too big, way too heavy. This weighs about an ounce. It's very close to an ounce. So, you know, very, very happy with this product. Very, very pleased. Now, moving on, I've also decided to stop with all the color variations. So one of the difficulties with these V2 models is that I had like 7 or 8 different colors. Every time somebody ordered one, it was the one color that I didn't have in stock. I'd have 10, 15 in stock. And every time somebody ordered something, it was always one that I didn't have in stock. It was always one that it was very difficult to keep up. And it was very stressful because just, you know, you make 10 scalpels, but they're each a different color. So technically you've only really made one of each. You're not really stocking up. You're just constantly fighting. You're making 10 just to have one, right? I don't know a better way to explain it, but you're always limited on each one of them. Huge amount of work. And so I had to just stop that and just stick with one that's like super fancy, which is the Coyote Brown and the Carbon Black Kydex. I think this is very sophisticated. It's very nice looking, very, very, very professional looking. Most of the other color combinations, they weren't quite as sophisticated. You know, the red on red, yeah, it's cool. It is pretty nice, but I think red with carbon black still looks nicer. Every color with carbon black sheath looked better, honestly, in my opinion. Let's see what we got here. This is black. I haven't finished this one. This is still a V2. Oh, this is a purple. Purple is really sick with the carbon black. Slightly overground, you see, back here. Anyway, it was just too much work, so I had to kind of just end that, and I picked the Coyote Brown with the carbon black sheath. I'll just hang this around the video lens here, and I'll have another option where you can do like your own custom again, but with an extra fee, of course. And that's really about it. There isn't really much more to say than that. It's just my favorite knife, really, in every way. It's my favorite knife to make. It's the most relaxing to make. It's my favorite knife to carry and use. I live on a ranch. I do everything with this knife. I don't need anything bigger than this. You know, like I really don't. I don't, you know, if I need, yeah, like I don't see how anybody would really need anything larger than this. And you know, when you're looking at a lot of folding knives, they're kind of about like this, with a slightly shorter blade. But in terms of, I mean, this is actually lighter than a lot of modern folding knives. But it's a pretty big blade for most of the things you're gonna need a knife for. Let's just, you know, imagine that this is, or some folding knives are actually more like this kind of size, which is your obake, but this is just not as nice and easy and sharp and to use as the scalpel. So a lot of my customers, they're people who use these in terms of martial arts. They like to practice a little bit with it. So, you know, this is a great EDC blade in the sense that it's also very defense capable as a shank. Right, with that full length handle, you can do your skull crush, do your super stabs. You can do your woodpecker style, like machine gun stabs. It's so light, it's not gonna wear you out. So very good grappling knife, I guess you could say. Overall, just super, 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 super nice. My most favorite design. It's the only design I have that's actually like legitimately a design, right? Like if I was gonna call myself a designer, then this is, you know, this is like a knife that's been fully designed. It's fully ready for the market, and this is it. This is the final version of the V3. I don't see any way I could improve on this. The only thing there's no change that I can do to this to make it any better anymore. Adding those shoulders and making the blade a little taller, it really made everything come together. As you can see, it really let's go with the red one here. It fixed all the issues. It improved on the design. It made everything look cleaner, much more professional. So it's the final version. And the reason why these were 49 euros each is because I wanted to sell as many of them, get them all over the world, see what people think about them, see if there's any issues. And, you know, just keep on keep on just getting them all out there as much as possible. I didn't almost make any money. I would sell 10 or 15 scalpels on Etsy, and I would make maybe $100, $150 out of it after the shipping, after all the fees, after the marketing costs, and after the production costs. So I was barely cutting through. I was barely profiting off the Scalpel V2. There was just almost no profit being made. Granted, last year was the most successful year HMK has ever had, which is awesome, and a lot of that came from the scalpels. So I'll be focusing on the scalpels, the Scalpel V3, which is the final model, and I'll be putting a lot of effort into marketing this, a lot of effort focused on producing this and getting it out there. And I'm going to focus on this for a little while. I got a lot of other things I'll be working in the background too, but right now this is kind of like the flagship hot metal knives, you know, design. You're not going to find this kind of blade anywhere else. Nobody's producing this. Nobody knows how to do this high quality, you know, paracord handle, as you know, on a knife this size. You just don't see this combination anywhere. You know, if you look at other handmade knives online, you know, they're charging over $100 just for paracord wrapping a katana wrap like this that's lower quality than this. I mean, this is really nice paracord wrapping. This is the highest quality paracord wrapping you're gonna find. It's as good as it gets when it comes to the quality of a paracord wrap, and people charge a lot of money for that. So I'll be basically just focusing on these, and of course there's just one color. And if you DM me on Instagram and you're like, hey, you know, I really like that, but could you do me one in this, then I'll probably be able to do it for you, you know. So yeah, go there and ask for it. So it's and these are now 89 euros each, but free shipping worldwide. So they all have free shipping. So the cost of the shipping is included in the blade, in the purchase. A lot of people that were buying the V2, they ended up spending up to 70 euros. Even though it's a 50 euro blade, a lot of people ended up paying up to 70 euros or more because of the added shipping costs, depending on where they were living. So people were already willing to pay over 70 euros just for the regular scalpels. So anything under 100 is good for this, I think, definitely. And eventually there's going to reach a point where, you know, I'll be making these for the next 20 years. This is all I'm going to be, you know, this is going to be something I'm going to be making non-stop, forever, really. And so unless I can find a manufacturer that can plastic injection mold the handles and, you know, with automated machining on the blade, it's going to be difficult to make them at $50. The only way that I can afford to continue making scalpels at 50 euros each is if there's an injection molded handle. So basically some kind of plastic just squeezed onto the handle, and then some kind of machine edge. So it wouldn't be nearly as nice, but they would be much more. You could do all the handles, 300 handles in one day, you know. So this is a freaking awesome product. It's a super heavy duty knife, especially for its size. It's an excellent self-defense blade. It's an excellent carving knife, whittling knife, skinning knife. Some people may worry about the cleaning of the handle. All you have to do is get some soap, some dish soap and a brush. After you're done skinning, you just do that and it looks basically as new as it was before. So yeah, there it is, guys, the V3 model, the Scalpel EDC neck knife, V3. There it is, looking fantastic. And I'll be making more videos. I gotta cut this video short because I can't go beyond 20 minutes. This is already too long. But I had to catch up with everybody, and if you watched the whole video, then thanks, guys. it's a pretty brief video. But yeah, my favorite knife, my favorite design. I just love everything about this. I really don't carry anything else. If I do, it's gonna be this with this. I don't really need any other knife on me than this. I don't see why I would ever really carry anything else. This is, you know, this does everything for me. I don't have, yeah, I really don't see why I would need anything else. And so it's kind of difficult for me to justify spending too much time making a ton of other stuff when this is really like the only thing I carry EDC 100% of the time everywhere I go. And everybody I meet wants one. Everybody that has one with the V2, they're leaving 5-star reviews. Everybody I talked to in Iwa, all the manufacturers that I gave a model to, a copy of, they loved it. So you know, it's. I could try and develop some other designs, but this one is so successful right now that I'm just gonna focus on that. And there's an old Japanese proverb from a master bladesmith, which is, you know, I don't know how they say it in Japanese, but just stick with what works. And this is working. So I have to just stick with what works. And I guess that's a lesson for everybody. Just, you know, stick with what works and improve on it, work on it, iterate it, and keep going. And so that's what this is. So I like this polished spine. Couldn't really do that with the V2s. This is just so much, this is just so nice right now. Really, really, really sick. Really, really pleased with how this turned out. So guys, have a good one. I'll catch you later.